Well, unfortunately, week 4 was full of heartbreak again, just like week 3 was. We're going to talk about players that we are panicking on. We're going to give you our panic level from 1 to 10. But I appreciate you so much for joining me. Do me a massive favor, smash that like button. I got a like goal today of 250 likes. And here's the best news. If you're struggling with your team, or even if you're dominating, we have something on our channel called the Team Playbook. I'm going to do a giveaway for the Team Playbook. All you have to do to enter is number 1, like the video. Number 2, make sure you're subscribed. And then on tomorrow night stream, we're going to announce the winner for a Team Playbook, a customized team review for your fantasy football team. I appreciate y'all joining us. Now, we have got to start with the most unfortunate news of the day. The reality of fantasy football is it's so fun, but there's also injuries that occur. Can we please collectively pour one out for Malik Nabers? Malik the Freak. Man, it was so fun to see Jackson Dart and this offense and Cam Scadaboo starting and just this young core, this young nucleus, if you will. So fun to watch them. And then the unfortunate reality of fantasy football hit in very, very quickly. And we saw Malik Nabers go down with that injury. You could see it pretty much during the live play. He didn't even go for the ball. It was kind of straight to grabbing that knee and kind of writhing in pain. Obviously, it has been reported that he has torn his ACL, meaning that your first round pick in fantasy football is out for the entire season, out for the entire year. You're not going to have him again. That's the unfortunate reality of football. Can we please have a quick moment of silence for Malik Nabers? We'll miss you, buddy. To anybody out there who drafted him, I'm so sorry. Fantasy football is not fair. To Malik Nabers himself, please take all the time in the world that you need to get right, to be yourself, because when you are healthy, you are one of the most electric, dynamic, explosive, exciting wide receivers to watch in the National Football League. I'm so sorry for any Giants fans out there. I'm so sorry to Malik Nabers himself, and obviously to all of you guys who drafted him in fantasy football. This is, again, the harsh reality of fantasy football. Obviously, it goes without saying the panic level is a 10 out of 10. We'll talk about waiver wire later on, in tomorrow's video, but Wan'Dale Robinson going to get some looks. We can talk about, some tight ends in this offense, but ultimately, no one's going to replace Malik Nabers. You're just not. You're just not going to replace Malik Nabers. So I don't think there's like a clear and obvious waiver wire move after this. Yeah, you can move Wan'Dale Robinson up your rankings, but the reality is this is just sad all the way around. Okay, we do need to talk about McConkey. So if you drafted McConkey, you either drafted him in the 2nd or 3rd round. And so far, it's been just absolute hell. It's not been fun whatsoever. And, the thought was, you know what? We're going to see this trend kind of start to turn around. We're going to see McConkey have more and more games. Even myself, I thought that, right? It's just hard to rationalize a guy that in his rookie season, let's not forget, guys, in his rookie season, 1,149 yards, 7 touchdowns, 82 receptions. We're talking about a guy that averaged over 15 fantasy points per game as a rookie. How rare is it that we see young, budding superstars and their role just completely diminishes from year 1 to year 2? You almost never see that, but the unfortunate reality here is what we didn't account enough for, at least myself, I'm going to hold my hands up, is the impact that Keenan Allen would have. We're talking about Keenan Allen in week 1, 10 targets. In week 2, 7 targets. In week 3, 11 targets. In week 4, 7 targets. There's just only so much football to go around, and inevitably there's going to be bust games for this entire trio. Johnson has another huge game. He comes out here 13 targets, catches 8 of them for 98 yards and a touchdown. He looks like the true number 1 wide receiver on this team, and he wasn't even drafted in the first 10 rounds of most fantasy football drafts. Meanwhile, McConkey, 6 targets, 1 catch, and he had a drop. He made some silly mistakes. He made some schoolboy errors, if you will. It's not looking good for McConkey right now. He is really that slot, not exclusive. He's playing inside, outside, but there's just not this same trust and the same, demand to target McConkey that there was in the previous season. Now, I still am going to stand by the fact that Keenan Allen, we said this before, we said this last week throughout the week on our videos, both Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, McConkey, there's going to be boom bust games for all of these guys. But if you're not moving McConkey down your rankings, then respectfully, I think you're probably just stuck in take lock at this point. McConkey cannot be ranked as a top 20 wide receiver for the rest of the season. I just don't see how that's a possibility. When you're looking at a guy like Quentin Johnston, who's getting the vast majority of the targets, Keenan Allen's getting more targets than him. It's a great offense to be a part of, but you have to face reality. And reality is that right now, he is not even the second most targeted player on this team. So for me, the panic level, I would say an 8 out of 10. That doesn't mean you can't start him. You can flex him, but he's not going to be this guy that you thought was going to win you your fantasy league. He's not going to be this guy that you thought was going to win you on a week-to-week basis. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear from you. How panicked are you on McConkey on a scale of 1 to 10? Again, I appreciate you guys so much for being out here with us on a Sunday talking about football. A friendly reminder, if you're just joining us, we are going to do a giveaway for one of our team playbooks. If you want a customized team review for your fantasy football team, all you have to do to enter is number 1, like the video, and number 2, make sure you are subscribed. And then on tomorrow night's stream, we're going to give away a playbook to one lucky winner. All right, let's talk about, it's painful, but we need to talk about Jameson Williams. Man, I am losing in the Flock League multiple weeks because of Jameson Williams now. And it's painful. It's painful to watch. This latest game, he had 8 targets. He had, a higher target share than even Amon-Ra St. Brown. But he and Jared Goff were just not on the same page. There are no layups in this offense for Jameson Williams. And that is impacting him. It just is. There's no way around it. That is impacting a Jameson Williams right now. You can see here, 8 targets. That's the glass half full, which is a season high for him. 8 targets, only caught 2 of them for 40 yards. Now, yes, he had the drop, on the sideline. That was a difficult catch to make. Kind of looking over both of his shoulders, had to adjust, had his hands on it. He should have caught it for sure, but that was a difficult catch to make. And afterwards in the press conferences, Jared Goff is talking about, he's taking blame for some of the interceptions, some of the underthrows, the overthrows, saying that he could have thrown the ball to Jameson and made Jameson's life a little bit more easy. Also talked about, how Jameson is quote unquote steady Eddie during the week, so he's not concerned about these drops that he's currently seeing. At least they're making a concerted effort to get him the ball this week with those 8 targets. Again, I would love to see more layup opportunities for Jameson Williams, but beggars can't be choosers right now. I'm going to say 6 out of 10 panic for him. He's still boom bust. That's just the reality of Jameson Williams. He's boom bust. He's going to lose you your week or win you your week. And that's difficult on a week-to-week basis to deal with. Let's talk about the Eagle wide receivers. Now, it's crazy that the Eagles can come out in a game and put up 31 points. They won this game with scoring 31 points, and still somehow the receivers can be so uninvolved. Now, if you look at this individually, A.J. Brown, 9 targets, caught 2 of them for 7 yards. This offense is not pushing the ball down the field in the passing game. Jalen Hurts is king check down right now, king slant, king 5-yard pass, short yard dump off to the running back, to the tight end. And that's obviously impacting the upside of an A.J. Brown and a Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is way more concerning to me than A.J. Brown is, though. At least A.J. Brown in this game had 9 targets. If you look at his past 3 games, we're talking 8, 10, and 9 targets. That's 9 targets per game since week number 2. That's encouraging. Yes, they weren't on the same page, but it's encouraging. For Devonta Smith, though, he can be completely game scripted out of a game entirely. And that's concerning to me. But funny little meme here from Eagles Nation over on X. He says the only 2 plays in the Eagles playbook for A.J. Brown. That's true. It's hey, is there a slant or a vertical? Those are the 2 plays right now. It's not the most creative offensive playbook here in Philadelphia at the moment. So look, for Devonta Smith, this is why he was one of our fades this year. I would say my panic is a 7 out of 10, but not any more panic last week than I was this week, just because this is the reality of a run-heavy team that has a quarterback that doesn't really want to stretch the field, that has an offense that wants to, in short yardage situations, do the tush push, to dump the ball off to the running backs, to the tight ends. For A.J. Brown, I would say the panic level is more 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10 at the moment. Okay, let's talk about David Montgomery. Now, I came on our channel this last week and I told you guys, hey, just kind of pump the brakes with David Montgomery a little bit, because the reality is I know he had, what was it on Monday Night Football? He had 151 rushing yards, right, last week. And, a lot of people were like, you know what? You were wrong on David Montgomery, Zach. Clearly, the role between him and Jahmyr Gibbs is not a problem. He's still going to get he's still going to get his touches. Well, in a game that they were in control of for the vast majority here versus Cleveland, he has 9 carries, 12 yards, 1 single target, 1.2 fantasy points. Now, look, I'm not going to victory lap this. All I'm saying is this is like the reality of owning David Montgomery. He's not someone that's heavily targeted in the air. So if you don't get a touchdown, it's probably not that great of a fantasy football week. You almost have to bank on a touchdown for a David Montgomery. But most weeks you're going to get that because of the offense that he's in. You just didn't get that this week. Pretty funny, he rocked up to the game, by the way, wearing a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout little sash there, which was pretty hilarious, but obviously not so funny now. Yeah, not so funny now when he scores 1.2 points for your fantasy football team. Look, I'm not going to panic on him. Same expectations you had coming into the year are the expectations that you have right now, which in games when they're up, he's probably going to get more usage, even though that wasn't the case here versus Cleveland. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to score a touchdown. The good news is next week he plays Cincinnati, and that's a great matchup for your fantasy football running backs. So there are plenty of reasons to still be hopeful for David Montgomery, but clearly doesn't have the upside as a Jahmyr Gibbs, and over the course of the year, he could only lose volume to a young budding Jahmyr Gibbs, then gain volume, right? Unless an injury occurs. Okay, let's talk about Nicholas Chubb. Nick's got a big old Chubb. Look, here's the reality. I don't know where you guys stand on this. If you were watching our channel throughout the week, last 2 weeks, we've been talking about Woody Marks a lot. I'll take my L's, I'll take my W's. Woody Marks is an absolute W for us right now. We've been encouraging you to stash him since, week 2? We've been encouraging you to stash him, telling you to pick him up off the waiver wire last week, telling you to take him seriously. All the trends were that his role was continually growing over the course of the season. And Nick Chubb is a guy that's even worse than David Montgomery because, he's not a part of a good offense. And it's not often that the Texans are on the goal line giving him opportunities. For me, Nick Chubb, almost useless in fantasy football now. I would argue 9 out of 10 panic if you own Nick Chubb. He was always going to, be a player that over the course of the year was going to be a threat to lose opportunities because of his veteran status, because of how many injuries he's gone through, lack of juice, etc. But now we're looking here in week number 4, and you can see for the first time the entire season, Woody Marks more snaps than Nick Chubb, 40 to 30 snaps, over 55, I think, right around there, percent of the snaps for Woody Marks. But here's what's awesome, man. 23 opportunities, 5 targets in the air. You love to see that in PPR formats. Now, Nick Chubb had 15 touches, but Nick Chubb is just not doing much with those touches. Again, they're not high quality, high volume opportunity touches, right? Meanwhile, Woody Marks over 28 fantasy points. And the great news is it came from everywhere, right? This is stuff that his role could continue to grow. He could continue to be important in these areas. Yeah, 15 of it came through the air, but he's a great pass catcher. We talked about that all year, right? 49 receiving yards, a receiving touchdown, but 13.3 of those came on the ground, 18 attempts, 73 yards, a rushing touchdown. By the way, on a play where he looked incredible. I think you're only going to see Woody Marks. His opportunities are going to continue to grow. I encourage you to pick him up off the waiver wire last week. We were very aggressive with him. I'm going to encourage you this week as well to do the same. You can see the split from Woody Marks and Nick Chubb from week 1 to week 4. So it went from 85% in favor of Chubb, week 2, 80, week 3, 60, and now you're seeing the changeover, only 40% of the opportunity split to Nick Chubb, to 60% to Woody Marks. That is what we love to see. A young rookie that they traded for, his opportunities growing over the course of a season. Now, yes, I might be biased because I am the one who owns Woody Marks in the Flock League. I can recognize that. Maybe I am a little bit biased, but man, it's awesome to see. And if you own Nick Chubb and you were like, maybe I could trade him for something, nah, you're not trading Nick Chubb for anything worthwhile at this point. Okay, we should talk about the Washington Commanders backfield because another week and it's disgusting again, right? If you're a Bill fan just like myself, we were hoping, yes, he had injuries throughout the week. He was dealing with a knee injury. But the hope and the ideal situation was over the course of, the next couple weeks, he'll take that role. But here in week number 4, it was the same news as week number 3. It was a full-on, blown-up 3-way. And again, not a 3-way you want to be a part of. Let's break it down. So you can see Chris Rodriguez, 20 snaps. JCM, a.k.a. Bill, 20 snaps. Jeremy McNichols, 19 snaps. That is about as disgusting as it can get from a usage perspective. About as disgusting as it can possibly get. Now, Chris Rodriguez, 7 carries. JCM, 7 carries, but 2 targets. So technically, JCM leads the way in opportunities with 9. But this backfield is gross. Absolutely disgusting. The hard part about this is JCM looks so freaking good, man. I mean, how can anybody watch the Commanders and not just be like, please, can we get Bill the ball? Let him touch the ball 15 times. Could he do what Woody Marks is doing for your offense? I guess a little bit encouraging. He was used more in the passing game, had 2 targets, caught both of them, 100% catch rate. At least that's encouraging. Averaged 6.7 yards per carry. Looked great, looked dynamic, looked explosive. But of course, Chris Rodriguez had the huge rushing carry to start the game as well, where he got all the way down the field. He averaged over 8 yards per carry. Jeremy McNichols is, hopefully he gets kind of phased out at some point, but it doesn't look like that's happening anytime soon. It is a full-blown 3-way. We hate it. We hate it. We're going to have to be patient. We told you don't start any Commanders this week on one of our videos, right? The 7 moves to make video. I'm not sure I'm going to change my answer next week. Again, if you look at this running back room, they're going to face the Chargers. The good news is Jaden Daniels will be back. So maybe the offense will look different. Maybe we'll get more clarity on JCM's role. But right now it's a full-blown 3-way. And if you don't get a touchdown, there's an incredibly low floor for all of these players. So my panic on a JCM, I don't know, probably 5 out of 10. I'm concerned, but I still think at the end of the year, he's going to be the guy, quote unquote, to own. It's just, it's going to take a lot longer than any of us wanted to, if we're being 100% honest, wanted to admit, right? Okay, let's move on from the Commanders running backs. Let's just talk about all of the Cleveland Browns except for Quinshon Judkins, okay? Outside of Judkins, every other Brown is a solid panic right now. They faced the Detroit Lions here. So many turnovers for Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, 2 interceptions, as well as a fumble. Hey, guess who was facing the Detroit Lions defense in the Flock League? This guy right here. My string of luck is continuing in the worst way imaginable. But at some point, you have to make a change here at quarterback. I mean, look at it per week. We're talking 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions, 6 interceptions, and 8 total turnovers in 4 weeks for Joe Flacco. 8 turnovers, 4 weeks for Joe Flacco. I would be absolutely shocked if we don't see Dillon Gabriel out there starting next week. What is the reason to start Joe Flacco anymore? You can't give me a good reason why you would start Joe Flacco. Now, obviously, Cedric Tillman goes out with the hamstring, right? He didn't play for the rest of the game. That's bad news bears. Probably going to miss time. Jerry Jeudy, despite being the main wide receiver there in week 4, in a matchup where they were, garbage time opportunities coming back from behind, only 9 targets. Well, only 3 receptions on 9 targets, rather. Now, maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel if it's Dillon Gabriel, but I don't know how we're excited about that, right? David Njoku, just 3 targets and a negative game script because Harold Fannin is an important part of this offense. Now, the only way David Njoku is a relevant fantasy football player this year, in my opinion, is if they trade him away from the Cleveland Browns. If they just say, we love Harold Fannin so much, we're going to trade away David Njoku. Because until that happens, there's the most disgusting split, and you can't predict it from one week to the next. It's absolutely disgusting, completely gross, and you don't want to be a part of it. That's just the honest, God's honest truth. So if we're talking about panic level, for the entire Cleveland Browns, except for Quinshon Judkins, 8 out of 10. It's gross. Even in negative game scripts, you can't sell the dream of what could happen if they're down multiple scores and they have to throw. But thank God, if anybody's got you, it's Quinshon Judkins. Quinshon Judkins has got you. 25 touches in a negative game script, 4 targets, 82 rushing yards. I mean, tough defense in Green Bay. He plays really well. Tough defense versus Detroit. He plays even better, you could argue, even though he had a lower yards per carry. He is the offense. He is the focal point of the entire rushing attack. So Judkins, you're thrilled about. Everybody else on this team, you're pushing the panic butter. Should we make a new thing, panic butter? You're pushing the panic button hard, okay? Again, guys, I appreciate you so much for being here with me. Hey, I have a goal on today's video to hit 250 likes. With your help, maybe we can get there. Do me a favor, hit the like button. And if you want to join the giveaway, we're giving away a team playbook, which is a customized review of your fantasy football team. You can enter that by liking the video and making sure you're subscribed. And we're going to give that away on tomorrow night's stream, so make sure you join us before Monday Night Football. All right, last player we need to talk about today. And what I want to hear from you guys is tell me down below, is there a player you think I missed? All right, let me know. Who are you the most panicked on in fantasy football? In fact, we went to Twitter and we wanted to hear from you guys. Now, we didn't get as many replies this week. I think it's maybe more obvious who we're panicking on, but I want to hear from you, right? So come join us. Be a part of the video. Be a part of the content. But the last player I want to talk about here is a tight end, and that is Sam LaPorta. Now, Sam LaPorta is probably going under the radar because of how bad Jameson Williams has been for fantasy football, but he's been a pretty terrible pick as well. I mean, you probably drafted him 5th, 6th round in fantasy football, expecting maybe I got a steal because it's Sam LaPorta. No, the reality is this offense, it's Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Nobody else is safe on a week-to-week basis. Yes, there's boom potential with LaPorta, with Jameson Williams, but outside of those two names, anybody can bust at any moment. I heard it. I apologize. But anybody can bust. And Sam LaPorta, 4 targets per game since week 2. Consistently barely used. Consistently mid for fantasy football. I mean, your 6th round pick is no better than streaming the tight end right now. So I would say panic is a solid 6, 6.5, 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, of course, you're still going to start him, but you're not happy about it. Let's be real. But guys, I appreciate you watching the video. Do me a massive favor. Hit the like button. Did we reach 250? I don't know. With your help, we can get there. Subscribe if you want to be a part of the giveaway. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Nothing but love.